Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a huge topic, crisis management. We're going to demystify the whole thing, creating a real practical roadmap to make any organization, well, truly resilient. We're pulling from some amazing, in-depth material here, so let's get right to it.
All right, let's kick things off with a really fundamental question. And trust me, this isn't just about playing with words. Getting this right, it's the difference between just reacting when things go sideways and actually leading your way through the chaos. It changes absolutely everything.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll cover the basic building blocks. Then, who's on the team and what's the plan. After that, we'll get into specific threats. And finally, we'll talk about the big payoff for all this prep work. Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, the 3 pillars of preparedness. Think about it like building a house, right? You absolutely need a solid foundation. And in the world of crisis management, that foundation is built on 3 distinct but very connected pillars.
So pillar number 1 is emergency management. This is your boots on the ground, immediate response. Picture the first responders rushing to the scene. Their one and only job is protecting people and property right here, right now.
Now this is where things get really interesting, because the second pillar, crisis management, is where we pull the camera way back, zooming out from the immediate fire to see the whole landscape. This is all about the big picture, protecting the company's reputation, its brand, and making sure the organization itself survives long-term. And that brings us to our third pillar, business continuity. You can think of this as the keep the lights on crew. While all that other stuff is happening, the emergency response, the crisis calls, this team has one critical job. Make sure the business can still do business. See how they fit together? It's kind of like a 3-legged stool. You've got emergency management handling the event, crisis management protecting the whole organization, and business continuity, keeping operations afloat. You need all 3 working together to cover all your bases from minute 1 to year 1 and beyond.
All right, on to Section 2. Because let's be real, a great plan is just a piece of paper without the right people to make it happen. So when trouble hits, who's actually in charge? Who does what?
Well, a really well-prepared organization has different teams for different jobs. You've got your tactical folks on the emergency response team, your operational pros in business continuity, and then your high-level strategists on the crisis management team. The key is that they all work together under one unified system. And that system is usually something called the Incident Command System. Fun fact, it was actually invented to fight massive wildfires. Talk about a high-pressure situation. It's this brilliant, standardized structure that just cuts through the chaos. Everybody knows their job, who their boss is, and how decisions get made. It's all about bringing order to disorder. Okay, so we have our teams. Now what? That brings us to Section 3. It's time to actually write the playbook, the master plan that's going to guide them through whatever comes their way. And this is so important. A crisis plan isn't something you write once, stick in a binder, and forget about. No way. It's a living thing. You have to figure out your risks, decide what you want to achieve, write the plan, and then, and this is the crucial part, you have to test it, drill it, break it, find the weak spots before a real crisis finds them for you. All right, Section 4. This is where we get really practical. We've got the theory, the teams, the planning cycle, but what about the actual what-ifs? Let's look at how you plan for specific, real-world threats. First up, Mother Nature. Things like natural and environmental threats. In some ways, these are the ones we can see coming, like we know where Hurricane Alley is. But man, when they hit, the impact can be absolutely massive.
And you can't just have one generic natural disaster plan. It just doesn't work that way. Your plan for a flood is all about moving stuff to high ground. Your plan for an earthquake? Totally different. It's about drills like duck, cover, and hold. Each threat needs its own custom playbook.
And just look at this. The level of detail you need is incredible. It's not just one plan, it's broken down into what you do before an event, what you do during the event, and all the critical steps for recovery after the event. That's how thorough you really have to be. Okay, let's shift gears to another category. And this one can be a lot harder to predict and, honestly, really tough to deal with. We're talking about human threats.
Yeah, things like workplace violence or civil unrest. You can't track these on a weather radar, right? They can happen in an instant. So the planning here is completely different. It's all about security, de-escalation, and having lightning-fast ways to communicate. The number one priority is always keeping your people safe.
And finally, we have the threat that doesn't knock on the front door. It slips in through the firewall, the cyber threat. And let's be clear,
In our world today, a massive cyber attack can be every bit as destructive as a hurricane. It can shut you down completely and shatter trust.
So a good cyber plan has to have layers. It's not just about having good antivirus software. You need a plan for before an attack, locking down your systems, a plan for during an intrusion, how you stop the bleeding, and a plan for after, how you get your data back, and just as important, how you rebuild that critical trust.
Which brings us to our last section, the preparedness payoff. After all this work, the plans, the teams, the drills, what's the point? So what? Why does any of this really matter?
It's actually pretty simple. All of it, every single piece we've talked about, is designed to build just one thing, a resilient organization. An organization that can take a punch and not just stay standing, but get even stronger.
I love this quote. The point isn't to be a fortune teller, right? It's to build an organization that can handle whatever the future throws at it. It's about building organizational muscle memory. So when a crisis hits, you can absorb the blow, adapt on the fly, and come out the other side better than you were before.
So that's really the final question you have to ask yourself. Is your organization ready to not just survive a crisis, but to actually thrive after it? Because that's the real goal here. Thanks so much for watching The Explainer.